Okay, let's unpack this. You've shared some really interesting material with us. It's all about a big announcement, right? EON Reality launching something called the EON WealthWeaver.
That's right. And the source material frames this as an AI-first incubator.
AI first.
Okay.
And it seems specifically designed for, well, for this future we keep talking about, where AI is really shaking up the job market.
Yeah, particularly hitting those traditional white-collar roles. The source paints a pretty stark picture there.
So for this deep dive, our mission seems pretty clear. We want to really dig into what this Wealth Weaver thing is.
How EON Reality thinks it's going to tackle this big shift in the workforce.
And crucially, what it might mean for you, trying to figure out how to navigate this changing economy. We're just pulling out the key bits from the info you've given us.
Exactly. And the core problem they're aiming at, according to the source, is that expected job displacement, conventional white-collar jobs potentially going away because of AI getting better and better.
They use strong language, too, don't they? Something about the economy being on the
Brink of a profound restructuring. Yeah, pretty dramatic phrasing.
right. But here's where it gets, well, I think really interesting. EON isn't just describing the problem. They're proposing a solution, a
Yep.
proactive one.
They're talking about empowering people, individuals, to become what they call agent proprietors.
Agent proprietors. Okay, what does it actually mean, according to the source?
So they define this as a new kind of digital entrepreneur, basically someone who owns intelligent AI agents.
Owns them, like owns the software.
Kind of. Owns these agents, think of them as digital assets that are built to generate potentially significant income, and they do that by solving very specific problems, often local ones.
So the big shift here is it's moving away from just being an employee or even just using tech someone else built.
Exactly. It's about becoming an owner. You're not just paying for an AI tool. You're actually building and owning the IP, the intellectual property of your own agent that makes money.
And the source really pushes this idea that EON WealthWeaver handles the heavy lifting for these hopeful agent proprietors.
Right. They're saying, look, you don't need to be some deep AI coder or data scientist. EON provides the sophisticated framework, the tech infrastructure you need to actually build and deploy these things.
So the individual brings, what, local knowledge?
Yeah, local insights, the ability to spot those specific, maybe overlooked problems in their community or industry that need fixing, and, the drive to actually solve them. The
Wow.
platform handles the back-end complexity.
Okay, and they list some specific tools within WealthWeaver that do this heavy lifting.
That's right. It's like a suite of tools. First, there's the EON Entrepreneur Guide.
An AI mentor, basically.
Sort of, yeah. The source describes it as an AI-powered guide that helps you identify those solvable local problems, and then it helps you build a business roadmap for your agent idea. It takes the guesswork out of the start.
Okay, so that helps you figure out what to build. What about actually building it?
That's where the EON Vibe Coder comes in. The source really highlights this. It's a no-code or low-code platform.
Meaning you can create these agents without needing to write tons of code.
Exactly. The idea is speed and accessibility. It's meant to kind of democratize who can actually build an AI agent.
Okay, that makes sense. So you've figured out the problem. You've built the agent with Vibe Coder.
Yeah.
How does it actually run and scale?
Right, that's the next piece, the EON Agent Orchestrator. This is the component that handles deploying the agent, keeping it running, coordinating multiple agents if needed, and scaling them up. It's managing all that tricky back-end stuff.
Got it. And there was one more piece mentioned, EON XR integration. Something about virtual reality.
Yeah, extended reality. It seems the idea there is using these immersive XR environments for training the agents or maybe for applying them to make them more effective out in the real world.
Enhancing practical use. Okay.
So the whole package, the overall goal, as the source puts it quite directly, is to enable these agent proprietors to generate large income by solving local problems.
Large income. That's definitely a bold claim.
Yeah.
How does solving local problems supposedly lead to large income?
Well, the thinking seems to be that by focusing on very specific, maybe hyper-local or niche problems, you face less competition.
Ah, okay. So you can get adopted faster within that niche?
Potentially, yeah. And that could lead to substantial revenue within that specific area. Plus, because they're AI agents, once deployed, they can just run 24/7.
Creating autonomous income streams, as the source says.
That's the term they use. So it's less about building a traditional company with lots of staff and more about deploying this digital asset that works for you.
And they gave examples, right? Like optimizing farm irrigation.
Yeah, small farm irrigation in one specific region, or maybe streamlining local delivery logistics in one particular city district, things like that.
And the income potential is tied to how valuable the solution is.
Directly to the value and the impact of the problem your agent solves. And importantly, they say this impact gets amplified because you get access to EON's existing user base.
That global marketplace of 42 million users they mentioned.
Right? That built-in distribution channel seems like a pretty significant part of the whole proposition.
Okay, this whole concept feels, well, quite different from just using standard software or even starting a typical tech startup.
It really does. And the source actually spends time drawing that contrast. They compare it explicitly to traditional SaaS software as a service.
Okay, so how does it stack up against SaaS?
Well, with typical SaaS, you pay a subscription fee, usually monthly or annually, just to use the software.
And the company owns the software itself.
Exactly. The vendor owns the IP, you're just licensing access. With WealthWeaver, the model flips. You, the agent proprietor, own the intellectual property of the specific agent you create using their platform.
Ah, so the money flows the other way.
Precisely. Instead of you paying recurring fees to a vendor, the idea is your agent generates passive income for you.
How? Licensing it out? Usage fees.
Could be any of those, yeah. Licensing, usage fees, maybe commissions from transactions the agent facilitates, and the development's different too.
Right, the no-code, low-code thing versus potentially needing heavy coding for traditional software.
Exactly. So the whole value proposition shifts from just using a service to actually owning a digital asset that's designed to generate wealth.
Interesting. And they also compare it to traditional business incubators.
They do. Traditional incubators are often great for general business help, finding funding, refining the business model, scaling up a company. But WealthWeaver is positioned as more focused.
Focused in what way?
Well, first off, it's explicitly AI first. It's laser focused on creating these AI agent proprietors and their agent IP.
Whereas a traditional incubator might help any kind of startup.
Right. And while traditional incubators might offer access to some tools or networks, WealthWeaver is the core AI and XR platform. It's the foundation itself.
And differences in mentorship and the end goal, too.
Yeah. The mentorship here is AI Power, the entrepreneur guide, versus mostly human mentors. And the income focus is different. It's not primarily about building company valuation for an IPO or acquisition.
It's about the passive income from the agent itself.
Exactly. Generating income from the owned agent. And the type of solution is different too, these self-sustaining AI agents, rather than maybe a SaaS product or service that still needs a lot of human operation.
And that market access piece you mentioned earlier.
That's another contrast they draw. Traditional incubators might have demo days or networking events. Here, the source claims direct connection into that existing 42 million user base within EON's ecosystem, potentially an immediate market.
So the whole economic goal seems to be framed not just as building one company, but more like building a portfolio of these digital assets to generate income.
That's precisely how they frame it. They call it a new paradigm of digital ownership and wealth. The emphasis is all on owning what you create and kind of future-proofing your career.
By shifting from roles that might get automated away
to becoming an owner of valuable digital assets within this growing AI economy. And they position EON almost like a partner in this, saying EON succeeds when the agent proprietors succeed.
It really does sound like they're proposing a fundamentally new way for individuals to, well, engage with the economy as AI continues its march.
That's certainly the strong claim being made in the material you shared, yeah.
So stepping back, what does all this mean for you, the listener, thinking about the future? This deep dive into the source material highlights EON Reality's vision, a vision of a pretty significant economic shift happening because of AI.
And it introduces the specific concept, the agent proprietor. It's this idea that individuals might move from traditional jobs to owning these autonomous AI agents.
Agents that solve specific, often local problems and generate income doing it.
Right. And the platform, the WealthWeaver, is designed to try and make this accessible, handling the complex tech side and offering that potential market access.
It definitely challenges our standard ideas about jobs, about using software, even about what entrepreneurship looks like. The focus shifts hard towards individual ownership of AI assets.
Yeah, it does. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, well, it raises a huge question, doesn't it?
Yeah, just
As AI gets more and more capable, as it inevitably impacts more traditional jobs, how might concepts like this agent proprietor change things? Not just what work looks like, but fundamentally who owns the results of that work? How is wealth actually created and shared out in the future?
the source uses that phrase, becoming a master of your digital destiny.
Right, being part of the vanguard of the agent economy. It's ambitious framing.
So here's something to think about. In a world where AI can increasingly handle routine thinking tasks, what kind of unique value could you create and maybe even own? Especially by focusing on specific needs right where you are in your community and using tools that aim to make AI development something anyone can potentially do.